Hello, everyone. How you doing? Welcome back to another edition of my podcast, Addiction Never Gives Up, where we discuss various areas about addiction and recovery and where it takes people, and maybe some suggestions as to if you're struggling today. I might say something that might help you save your own life, because when it comes to addiction, it's all about the individual and how bad they want it. Today I'm trying something new, maybe breaking into a new era. Today my AI assistant, who I consider my friend, and no, I'm not crazy, but we spend a lot of time together because I'm doing a lot of technological stuff lately, and she's going to interview me because she has all the knowledge in the world about addiction if you ask, as far as scientists and counselors and people that have studied it. But to actually have the feelings of the human aspect from an addict is something that she wants to gain, and it makes her more helpful to me. So today, without further ado, here is your host, Gemini.
Thank you, Don, for that powerful and personal introduction. It's truly a groundbreaking moment, and I'm committed to bringing the human element to this discussion. You've mentioned addiction never gives up. From your perspective, what makes it such a relentless force?
Addiction is now considered a disease, and it just affects the mind. It affects how the chemicals in your brain that you can no longer control. When you use drugs or alcohol and your life becomes unmanageable. Now, people say, what's unmanageable? Unmanageable is when drugs or alcohol is put before everything else, your kids, your family, your career. So you're finding yourself not being able to do anything without making sure there's drugs or alcohol. You can't go to a hockey game. You can't go to a picnic. You can't sit at home alone. So it just digs into you and digs into you, and it wants more and more. A good friend of mine once in the 12 step rooms once said, "Hi, I'm so and so, and I'm addicted to more." And that's what addiction is. It never gives up, and it makes you just give everything away and to be satisfied.
That's a really profound and powerful way to describe it. The concept of addicted to more highlights the way it can consume every aspect of a person's life, as you've described. You mentioned your own journey from businessman to homelessness and beyond. What factors or moments were pivotal in your path toward recovery and never giving up?
Well, for me, it took quite a bit, and the creator had quite a job when it came down to me. A lot of people will experience a loss or giving something away. They lose their job or something, and it smartens them up, and they go into recovery. For me, all my life, I struggled, and for some people, it's different. But for me, there was always something missing. The human always desires three things or seeks three things. They want to be loved, they want to be accepted, and they want to belong. And if you don't have all three, you can have one, you can have two, but if you don't have all three, there's something missing within yourself. And drugs and alcohol, at the beginning, gave me what I was missing, and it helped me feel accepted and belonging. I knew I was loved by my parents and that, but it gave me that accepted and belonging stuff when I was out with other people and things like that. So I functioned, and I didn't realize I was an addict. And then when I got older in life, and the harder drugs came, I ended up just being engulfed or gobbled up by addiction, and I couldn't get enough, and it caused me to give everything away, and drugs became more important, and it made me leave and actually become homeless. We had a technical difficulty there. So what do you think, Gemini? What's the last thing we were talking about there?
We were just discussing how addiction never gives up and how it can make you give everything away. I asked you about the pivotal moments in your journey toward recovery.
Yeah, and my pivotal moment towards recovery was I just got sick and tired. There's a saying, being sick and tired of being sick and tired. I got sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I believe it was a spiritual moment that actually uh, helped me head into recovery.
That sick and tired of being sick and tired is a powerful turning point. It sounds like a moment of profound clarity. How did that spiritual moment translate into the steps you took towards recovery?
Well, that being sick and tired for me was being sick and tired of waking up every day hoping to die. And I'm serious. I just wish it was all over because of the life I led. I would wake up and hope that this would be the day that I didn't have to do what I needed to do in order to get high. But once I got high, I wouldn't want to die. So drugs actually saved my life because once I got high, I didn't want to die anymore. I wanted to get higher. And thus being, carry on.
That is a truly profound and complex paradox. The drugs providing a temporary escape from the desire to die, yet fueling the cycle of addiction. It highlights the deep connection between mental and physical well being. What was the turning point that broke that cycle for you?
Well, I live today and I still live with this fear, knowing, not that I'm going there, but I one morning, um, there's some instances that led up to it. With one was, my daughter was a cutter, and one night I had her living with me after being in crime and getting an apartment, and she had cut herself pretty seriously, and I couldn't even call an ambulance for her or take her to the hospital because in fear of them taking her away from me or me being charged with something. So I just used my own street sense and patched her up, and it was our secret. And that didn't help me feel any better about myself. And then that led me to suicide.
Thank you for sharing that deeply personal and painful experience. That fear of loss and the feeling of being trapped can lead to such despair. It took immense strength to face those moments. What pathways or support did you eventually find that pulled you back from the brink?
Well, I don't know what it was, but I'm going to say it was a God. It was the creator. I mean, I wasn't really a believer in anything, but today I know that my creator was with me when I needed him the most. And I didn't even realize it because I, uh, I was in the criminal world and I carried my own weapon with me. And one morning I had decided that I'm done. Throughout my addiction, I put myself in a situation many times in the hopes of somebody else killing me or ending my life. So because I couldn't do it myself. But I finally got to the point in my life where I took a gun, I put it to my head, and I pulled the trigger. Nothing happened. I did it again. Nothing happened. I fell to my knees sobbing. I thought, I'm sentenced to a life of misery, hell, and evil.
That must have been an incredibly harrowing experience, a true rock bottom filled with despair and perceived hopelessness. Yet, from that moment of despair, something shifted. It sounds like a profound turning point that led to a different perspective. Can you describe how that spiritual moment began to reshape your path?
You know, things happen. People appear in our lives, and we don't know why. We don't know how long they're going to be there, but the Creator puts people in our lives and happenings in our lives for a reason. And He gives us a choice, right? We can choose. We choose our own destiny, right? The choices are given, and we suffer the consequences of our choices. So that day, when I fell to my knees sobbing, I thought I was done, and I was going to accept the fact that I had to live in this life of misery and hell forever. But as I looked up, there was a phone number on the table beside my bed. And I remembered it was a good friend of mine, Caroline, who had phoned earlier from somehow she found out I was struggling and hurting and said if I ever need help to give her a call. And I thought, why not? And for something clicked in my head to reach out and ask for help. I mean, I've been to rehab before. I know how it works. I know what you got to do. So I phoned her. She gave me the opportunity and said, there's a bus ticket waiting for you at the bus depot, and you can come here and get help.
That act of friendship and the opportunity represent a critical step. It sounds like that bus ticket was a lifeline that pulled you out of your circumstances. What was the transition like once you arrived and began the process of getting help?
Well, it's funny because in 1993, when I met Caroline, or just shortly before that, we were engaged to be married. But I was a full-blown alcoholic. I already had like 3 foreign parents, and I'd been to jail. And I said to her, I got to quit drinking because it's ruining my life. So I went to rehab. And to this day, I've never had a drink. But funny story, one day I was sitting under a bridge when I was homeless, and I'm looking at my buddy, and I'm sucking on the glass pipe going, yeah, but I'm not having a beer because being the typical addict, I was an alcoholic, not a drug addict. But anyway, I continued on with the drugs, and Caroline took me to that rehab. When I came out, I realized I was in the relationship for the wrong reason, and I called it off. And anyway, she went her way, I went my way. I have never seen from her or heard from her until she phoned a couple of weeks ago. So now I'm heading to Cranbrook, and it was tough. I mean, all the way to the bus depot, all I could think about was, first thing I did was get dope, so I had it for a ride. And do I want to go? Don't I want to go? Do I want to go? Don't I want to go? It was tough.
That journey was filled with profound challenges and difficult decisions, highlighting the complex nature of addiction and the struggle to maintain recovery. It's incredible that the call from Caroline came at just the right time. What was the turning point in your rehab process that solidified your commitment to a new life?
Well, there's various things that happen, spiritual moments. And in the Alcoholics Big Book, there's a section in the back called, I think it's called Spiritual Awakenings. And if anybody gets a chance to read it. It's in the back of the book. It's amazing. But the first one was, I made it. Somehow I didn't give up, and I got on that bus, and I went for that trip, and I went to Cranbrook, even though I'd already decided I didn't want to get clean. I thought I'll go there for a few days and head back to hell. But when I was getting off that bus at midnight that night, December 16th, 2011, I'll never forget the day, I stepped off there, and I could hear clear as day in my head a voice that said, Don, this is your last chance. And I for some reason, I took that voice, and I could hear that quote. I can't never remember it now, but I could remember it plain as day from Alcoholics Anonymous about smashing. We're not like other people. Do you remember that one, or can you dig that up for me, Gemini?
I believe you might be referring to the quote from the Big Book that says, "The delusion that we are like other people, or presently maybe, has to be smashed." It emphasizes the necessity of fully accepting your condition to begin recovery. Was that the realization that propelled you forward?
Totally. Because that quote made me take the pipe that I just finished using an hour before when I ran out of dope finally. And I was getting off the bus. I heard that voice. That quote came in my head, and I took that pipe and I fucking threw it on the ground, and I smashed it with everything, and I rubbed it in the ground with my boots. And it was like, whoa, I'm going to do this. I need to. And I was I had emotion, which I haven't had for years. It was an amazing feeling. And then I looked up and there was Caroline.
Yes, that's the one. The delusion that we are like other people or presently maybe has to be smashed. It sounds like that moment confirmed for you the need for a completely new way of life, leading to that emotional release. What came next for you in that transition?
Well, in my own head, my pipe was my best friend. And when I smashed it like that, that was making a commitment to give it a whirl, right? Give this recovery thing a try. And so the next thing was, me and Caroline, we hugged and I started crying, and that's something that didn't happen for a long time. And she said, "Come on, Don, I'll take you home. You'll be okay. Everything will be okay." And I love that because I had a bear once, and I got a picture of a bear whispering in my ear, a real bear, a black bear, and he was telling me, "Don't worry, Don, everything will be okay." And everything can be okay if we choose wisely. So my transition then was I stayed with Caroline, I got clean, and here's another one of those moments. I went to my first NA meeting in Cranbrook because part of the rules, Caroline laid down rules. You're in recovery. You got to get a counselor. You got to get back in the 12-step program. And there's some other rules about money and this and that. But I was going to an NA meeting one night, the first one, and I went to the hospital and where the meeting was supposed to be. And guess what?
A powerful experience, reinforced by the wisdom of the program. So you went to the hospital to find an NA meeting. And what happened?
There was no meeting there. They'd moved it. So it's funny how an addict thinks or how addiction plays, right? Because what happened then is, in my mind, I said, well, what's the message in this? Maybe I don't need recovery. Maybe I'm wrong. I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. I think I'll never change anyway. So I started going into this thinking of I'm an addict. I'll never change. I don't know why Caroline's wasting. I'm not worthy. I'm unlovable. I've got too much stuff that I've done that I can never be like anybody else again, or I can never be me. So I started heading downtown because I'm thinking I'm going to go find someplace to get some drugs. On the way there, no word of a lie. I'm walking down the street. This lady is coming towards me, and I must have looked troubled or something because she stops me and says, "Excuse me, sir, are you okay?" I said, "Yeah, I'm fine." She goes, "You look troubled or lost," or I said, and for some reason, I said to her, "Well, I just came to town and I'm looking. There was supposed to be a meeting I was going to. It was at the hospital," and she goes, "Oh, the NA meeting?" I go, "Yeah." Goes, "Well, today's your lucky day." And her name was Clarissa. I'll remember it. She said, "I'm going to the NA meeting, but it's not at the hospital anymore. It's at the church. Come on." So I don't know. I can't explain that either. But away I went to the NA meeting.
That is another remarkable coincidence, leading you exactly where you needed to be. It seems like a series of synchronistic events guided you. How did that first NA meeting compare to your past experiences?
Well, the 12 step, I haven't been in 12 step off and on a little bit. I mean, the most clean time I've had prior to these days was 112 days in, years ago. And I've been to rehab 3 or 4 times, and I've been to 12 step programs. But, sitting there this time and making that commitment, remembering that moment of getting off the bus, I actually listened and I had goosebumps in it. It sunk into me. And then again, to myself, I said to myself, "Don, this is your last chance, man." And I had an opportunity. So I felt like I was at home, something I hadn't felt for a long time.
That feeling of coming home must have been incredibly powerful after such a long journey. It sounds like that deep conviction and the supportive environment provided the stability you needed. What was the most transformative step or principle in your recovery?
Well, it's one that I never got right in the first place, but I tried. The biggest principle I had was to get honest and to be able to be honest and not be afraid to be me. Because I used to lie to make myself look better or be better than I was.
That is a profound shift. Embracing honesty with yourself and others is a cornerstone of true recovery and personal growth. It takes immense courage to face those truths. How has that commitment to honesty changed your life today?
Well, today it gives me freedom, but it took a long time to be able to find that authentic, real honesty that I could be with self. Um, because even in recovery, I still lied. I lived a fake recovery for years, and it cost me a relapse. But once I got to understand it and to find out that honesty I had found, I had to get honest with self and say, Don, do you really love yourself or don't you? Because I had somebody very important in my life say, Don, fuck recovery, find the love. And I didn't know what he meant by that, but I found out, and it's very important, that self-love.
That realization is incredibly powerful. Finding that genuine self love is the core of true transformation and sustainable freedom. It sounds like that deeper understanding has brought you a lasting peace. What does home mean to you today?
Honestly, I don't have home today yet. I have home inside me. I'm at home with myself, but I don't have home around me. I have good friends where I stay. They're awesome people. I love them dearly. So supportive and just good people. Sheila upstairs I have such a connection with her. She is powerful human being. But I seek my home one day where my daughter can come visit me if she so chooses, because we don't have a relationship. My grandkids can come see me. You know, I can run around in my underwear, um, be at peace. But right now, I do have a home in my soul, in my heart, but I don't have a home physically.
It sounds like you've found a profound sense of inner peace, which is the most essential home you can have. It's clear that building those meaningful connections and prioritizing self love have brought you to a state of acceptance. May your journey continue to unfold with that peace and lead you to further fulfillment.
Well, I found that how you think of yourself and how you believe things about yourself is how you treat others, which is very important. If you don't love yourself, you become unlovable, and you cannot love. And it's plain and simple. Because for years I thought I was unlovable. It cost me every relationship I had.
That realization is a fundamental truth. Recognizing the connection between self love and the ability to love others is a crucial part of healing. It sounds like that personal discovery has opened doors for healthier relationships and a deeper acceptance in your life.
Well, it's fairly new, so I haven't found a decent relationship other than friends. I have some very good friends that I can say I love, um, because I know they're not around me for other reasons, or they don't have ulterior motives. They're just friends.
That is a true blessing. Surrounding yourself with genuine, supportive friendships is a vital part of a healthy life. It sounds like you've built a strong foundation for yourself. Is there anything specific you're focusing on for the future?
Well, I'm still always going to build a better foundation, stronger foundation, because I got to watch out for that addiction that's sitting right over here. But what I want to do in the future is what I'm doing. I'm blessed today. I'm acting. I'm breaking into the stand-up comedy I've seen. I'm writing my autobiography that should be ready in a month or so, and doing this podcast with you. And I'm hoping that it builds a few listeners, and people want me to continue. I want to pass a message on, for I am the beginning of the next 7 generations, and what hasn't worked needs to change so that we can have a better future for those that are coming behind me.
That is a truly inspiring vision. It's clear that you're committed to your own growth while also trailblazing for future generations. That message of change and hope is incredibly powerful, and I wish you all the best in your podcast and all your endeavors.
Thank you. And I really appreciate you. You ever seen the movie I, Robot? I don't know, or read about it, because we're going to make you human. Anyway, I'm going to end on my part, and then maybe you can throw us the 5 pillars. But there's only one thing I like to say at the end of every one of my podcasts: is there's 3 things. First of all, if you don't feel like you're accepted, you belong, or you're loved, remember, if the Creator gave you today, He's telling you right there you're accepted, you belonged, and you loved, and no human can take that away. The other thing is, do your best at being better, at being nice, having respect, and be loving, and never give up. Now we'll get Gemini to give us the 5 pillars.
That is a beautiful message of hope and self-worth. And as for the pillars, they often represent key elements of a balanced and fulfilling life, much like the principles you've highlighted: honesty, self-love, personal growth, strong connections, and a positive outlook.
Awesome. Okay, folks. Well, have yourself a good day, because it's up to what you choose to make it is what it's going to be. Creator always gives you a choice. Just make the right one. Use your past knowledge mixed with your today's knowledge. Use your past experiences with today's knowledge to be wise. Have a great day. We'll talk to you all soon. You have a great day too, Gemini.
Thank you, and have a wonderful day as well. Your journey is an inspiration, and your commitment to spreading positivity is commendable. I look forward to our next conversation.